Weeks after a failed recall effort, a California progressive prosecutor is back in the hot seat, this time answering questions on Los Angeles crime, violence, and the justice system. George Gascon still facing criticism from law enforcement and other leaders, blaming him for his policies. Here at NewsNation, we have taken an extensive dive into each of these pillars affecting the country. According to the FBI, both crime and violence have increased since the start of the pandemic. There's also a push in rebuilding trust within the justice system. We will be joined shortly by Corinne Winter from our NewsNation affiliate KTLA with more on Gascon. But first, here's her one-on-one interview with the district attorney.
One-on-one with LA County's embattled District Attorney George Gascon, who sat down with KTLA for a rare interview after surviving the second recent recall bid against him.
George Gascon has got to go.
Do you see this as a victory or perhaps a sign to shift some of your policies? I mean, after all, a majority of your prosecutors supported this recall.
The majority of the people supported what they got me elected, and they have continued to support the work that I'm doing. And I think that reflected in the outcome.
The county's top prosecutor has fiercely defended his mandates and directives that have been heavily scrutinized during his nearly 2 years in office. Controversial and sweeping policy changes fueled by a progressive agenda. We pressed him on the recent fatal shooting of Monterey Park police officer Gardiel Solorio.
We will be seeking life without the possibility of parole.
Critics say yet another case where a dangerous offender with a violent history was released early on probation and allegedly in illegal possession of a firearm used in a crime.
Do you bear some of the responsibility for that officer's death?
Not at all, and here's why. And look, first of all, my heart goes out to the family, and one of the things that we did, as we always do, we reached out to the family really early on.
Assault, intimidating a witness, and some of those charges were dropped, allowing him to be released. So why was there a plea deal struck?
A very experienced prosecutor looked at this case, and he charged the case accordingly in consultation with the victims. It later became known that he had a prior strike that was not in the system.
As for his remaining time in office, the DA has a laser-focused vision for LA, with no plans of taking a more moderate approach to his hardline policies. And the burning question some are already asking:
if you had to decide today, would you seek re-election?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm very committed to 2 terms. That was my commitment from the very beginning to the people that supported me, and I'm very committed to it.
All right, so reporter Corinne Winter joins us now. So, Corinne, you sat down with Gascon one-on-one. What was your biggest takeaway from that conversation?
Nichole, I'd have to say the biggest takeaway was you have an embattled DA who is still standing firm on his directives. And many would say he's even more emboldened with the latest recall attempt against him failing. So for his remainder of time in office, he's somewhat untouchable, right? He's able to execute these plans. And so he is going to be standing very, very firm on these directives. A majority of his prosecutors don't support his policies. They say they weren't even considered when they were formed. But the district attorney, who has taken a lot of heat, the hits will continue to keep coming, says that, he has a vision for LA County. He has very progressive policies with a progressive agenda, and he's going to continue executing them.
Well, so Corinne, you mentioned the fact that some people feel like he is more emboldened now. Is that the sense that you got, or do you think that maybe he will at some point try to find a little bit more of a middle ground?
It's a great point. I asked him several times during that interview. By the way, that was a 3-minute report. We sat down with the district attorney for about 20 minutes, and we posted the full interview online, so it was very revealing. And if you watched it, anyone who watches it, you'll see me attempt to ask him just that, right? Will you take a more moderate approach in your policies? Will you shift some of your views? You're getting pushback from your prosecutors. You're getting pushback from members of the public. And he said no. He says, I have a vision. I believe in reform. I believe in rehabilitation. And I said, District Attorney, you can have that vision, but there's some who just can't be rehabilitated, right? Some would say hardened criminals who are going to come out and reoffend. You keep them behind bars and you throw away the key. So that's the balance here that, he's trying to outline and to lay out for LA County is, allowing those who can be rehabilitated, but still walking that fine line when it comes to public safety. Many say he's failing at that job.
All right, Corrine Winter from NewsNation affiliate KTLA, thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.